Our guest tonight already established himself as among the coolest guests we've ever had during his last visit. But with the new season ready to get started, he's agreed to return. Our pleasure to welcome back to the Wise Guys men's volleyball head coach, Shawn Olmstead. There's a vibe that's inherent in volleyball that we talked about last time. You can feel it, right? There's a vibe of coolness that you have.
Always.
We talked about it. I'm sure you weren't listening when you were coming up, but we were talking about you. We're like, Shawn's like, we know how intense he is, like when we're in the middle of a match, right? Mm-hmm. But we're like, but he's chill when he's not. which we always talk about that. You step over that line, you got to put your face on, you got to be able to flick that switch, and you come off. Nobody does that better than you do. Being like intense. I don't think I want to go down and talk to Shawn right now because we're in the middle of the game. I'm going to go give Shawn a hug after the game because he's so chill.
There we go.
Right?
Hey,
always.
Hey, developing news here on the Wise Guys. Joe Zolito from Antarctica is on the stream.
Jeez. What?
That takes us to a new place.
No way.
We believe that's verified because who would come on and say they're from Antarctica?
We wondered if we could ever get Antarctica in on the stream. And so there you go. That's 6.
That's 6. All right.
I'm pretty bumped.
I'm trying to move over some things because I brought gifts.
You brought stuff? It's the holidays?
I brought a bunch of stuff.
Let's put that up there and then we'll get into it later. Because
I can leave it here. I just don't want
No. We like it. It looks great, especially since you're going to leave it. That's the best of all.
Oh my gosh! And Shawn knows I will wear whatever swag you just.
There we go. I got a bunch.
Look, wait.
And we got some logos that no other teams have.
All right, we'll have a fashion show.
Every coach wants that right now.
Oh,
it's
baby.
the old.
That's awesome. All right, we'll have a fashion show here in just a bit.
We're gonna do a whole fashion show.
The state of Utah, we put into a logo. So
okay, we're gonna talk about this in just a second.
Our billing of you being our coolest guest had nothing to do with you bringing guests. We want you to know that was honest.
You know what though?
Legit.
That also is right up here.
But now you just moved straight up.
There we go.
Before we dive into volleyball, what did you think of the Alamo Bowl?
Unreal. I mean, it's super impressive with just the way that our guys came out, because those bowl games, they can go so many different ways.
Yeah.
And the guys, just despite all the other storylines all over the place, that team came out, they were ready to go to compete, against the Heisman winner, against quote unquote the number 1 or 2, whatever we want to rank them right now, draft picks and the Deion Sanders and the prime time and the storylines. It was impressive that our guys came out. But not only, if you just watched, and it's funny because I've seen things here and there on whatever, social media platform, and everyone says the same thing. Like, did you guys not see in the first 10 minutes, BYU was faster, stronger, more physical, top to bottom. And so I was super excited for Kalani and those guys. They've had an unbelievable season, and but they've also had some tough moments, and so for them to be able to celebrate in that moment and on that stage, that was pretty cool.
I know you and Kalani are good friends, and there is a camaraderie amongst coaches there. What's that like? The coaches, they support each other pretty well inside of BYU's program, right?
They really do. Anytime I've ever needed anything, I have no fear that I can text Kalani at any time. If I need a favor here or there, I can do that with any of the coaches, and they do the same with me.
All
and
right.
so, if by chance I need tickets, usually I wouldn't hit up those guys for tickets because I'll go to Santiago.
There's other guys.
What I mean? But there's been moments where, hey, could you meet this person? Could you do this? We meet once a month, as head coaches, where it's just the head coaches only with our administration. So that's a really great meeting where everybody's there. Kalani's there, Young's there, everybody's there, and we just get to talk about anything, current events, things going on, any new legislation, which is, constantly
hard to keep up with, right?
And so it's a really cool vibe with all the coaches.
Do you ever, we know it's like AJ DeBanza, we're talking about him. He was down on the sideline at a football game, a sold-out house. The crowd's like, AJ. Do you ever have volleyball recruits that you take to the games and you get them down on the field?
Yeah, we're down on the field. AJ was probably down there a little longer than the volleyball players, and that's all right. No, but we do. We take them down there before every game. We're down there all the way, and we kind of bring them out when they run out of the tunnel, know? And then everybody's got to get off the field. But no, all the coaches have the ability to do that. That's really important. That's great for the recruits. AJ just might get that sideline pass over
a little longer,
a little longer, which, hey, but yeah, it's a great vibe amongst everybody.
You're in your 14th year as head coach. You won a couple of national championships here as a player. So you're the perfect guy to answer this question. And it's our last football question for you. But when football is riding high, what is the vibe over the rest of the sports? Does it when football's doing good, do you feel the lift?
Yeah, of course. But here's what I'm going to say in full support of football. If you're not a football fan as a coach at BYU and not wanting them to succeed in every way, shape, and form, you need to, have a come to something type of meeting. I mean, really, you do, because the success of those guys is many times a sign of success of an athletic department, of the support from administration, of support from upper campus. And so, to answer that, yes, we're riding high. Everyone's enjoying it. And there is a vibe. There's an energy, especially in this community.
Right.
But, and we need them. We want them. That goes in line with so many of what are the missions of BYU. Are kind of hand in hand as it relates to the success of the football program.
So I want to ask you one.
I think Kalani's got the toughest. Look at Kalani. I've said this. I don't know if I've shared this on air. Years ago, I thought I kind of came up with this theory, and I started sharing it when Bronco was around, and I just said, you guys, that person right there, Bronco, now Kalani, you're the most criticized member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Amen to that.
And that's a lot of members.
Right.
Yeah.
Millions of members. We're talking around the world.
And some of it's friendly fire, right? Members of the church who might cheer for other teams.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, we all sit and watch the game and go, what are we doing?
Right.
Is that the response when there's a temple announced at General Conference? Highly unlikely.
It's not.
So
why would we put a temple there? That's crazy.
No one's going to. So Kalani, because he is viewed by all the members, he is known, unfortunately it comes down on him. And I'll share this maybe Bronco will get mad at me, but he won't. I remember when I got hired, he brought me over when I became the women's head coach. Kalani hit me up, or Bronco did, excuse me. Hey, come over, let me help you get acclimated to this position. Okay. And he told me that, I don't know if he thought that I'd get the same line, not even close, but he said, hey, I went to my ward when he was up in Highland near where I live.
Yeah.
I think he might've been on the border of Alpine. He's like, hey, I went to my bishop and said, I'm going to show up every Sunday. I'll be there. And I'm going to show up when they're welcoming, what is it called? The opening, welcome, is it called opening exercises?
Oh, yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying, but I'm going to walk in right then with my family. And then 10 minutes before church is up, I'm going to get up, no matter my calling, and I'm going to go round up my family and we're out of here. But I just want to let you know that, hey, we're here. Whatever calling you want. Bronco was awesome. But I never had to do that, but it's just kind of interesting to see that, and he shared some other stories with me that I wouldn't feel comfortable, making known, just about moments and spots where people wanted to discuss what he did on 4th down and 19 at the Boise State football game.
Yeah, it's definitely a spotlight show. You mentioned that Kevin's now been part of these meetings. Kevin Young, the basketball coach, been part of the meetings, and now you've had some interaction with him. We were just talking about the impact that having this kind of a recruit on campus. What's your take on Kevin and his style so far? And then as a backup, does getting the #1 overall recruit in basketball in the world impact other sports' ability to recruit? And
yeah, of course. I mean, I went recruiting that weekend. I was in LA, and the amount of people that talked to me about what the heck is going on over there.
What are you guys doing?
It was really something like I've never experienced.
Really?
Yeah, no doubt. And so I'll be honest, believe it or not, I know we interact. Kevin's been at all those meetings. He's never missed one. I've honestly just felt like I didn't want to go bother it. No one's bothering him, but I haven't gone over and
he should be asking you for advice. You know how to work around all of this.
Here's Shawn Olmstead. You have 2 rings.
No, he's doing an amazing job, and I've just kind of stayed back. So all the other coaches, though, we're best friends because we've been around and working together through so many things.
And he'll eventually be part of it.
100%.
You know what you need to do? You need to get his kids to come watch one of your games. And they'll be hooked forever.
They'll be in love with it.
They've got it.
I asked you were over in the green to think about this. Have you ever signed the #1 overall Have you ever had to come the number 1 overall recruit in the country come
Yeah,
play?
so I was thinking about that, and you could probably look at, you really could make a case for Taylor Sander.
I was thinking
yeah,
too.
that's
Really
who we were
could.
thinking of.
Okay,
Yeah.
and he came into our gym. He hit me up about 2 months ago. Hey, Shawn, I need to get back in the gym because he signed a really good contract indoor. He's been on the
nice.
beach the last 4 years.
Yeah.
He came back 4 or 5, came back indoor, and he hit me up. Said, yeah, do you want to come play or coach? Yeah, I just want to do whatever. So the first couple of days he was just kind of hanging out, but he was there every day. And then finally he's like, hey, you okay if I get some reps? And it was just like he didn't skip a beat, you know. And
He's so good.
you could really, you could put Taylor Sander in that
category.
And he brought that. They played for a national championship.
Went to the Olympics.
And he went to the Olympics. He won a bronze medal. But here at BYU, he was the player of the year.
Yeah.
He took that team to a national championship against Irvine out in Pauley Pavilion in UCLA.
Yeah.
He was fantastic.
Yeah, he unbelievable. So he would be comparative, in the sport.
BYU men's volleyball coach Shawn Olmstead's on
But
the
I will
Wise
say,
Guys.
I will say, I'm going to give my 2 cents. I agree with the guy that said national championships for cross country should have been higher. I'm sorry.
So
I'm
he hasn't
sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry.
Listen,
I gotta say it.
Shawn,
I gotta say it.
we were second guess, and Ed's been my friend for almost 40 years. So I'm like, was there like Dave and I were like, well, should this be higher? Should that be? And I'm thinking, Ed's going to kill me on this one, right?
What would you put?
And we love Diljit, too.
I think it's a combination of what this year has been for that sport. And go back to the Olympics. Look at Connor and Clayton.
And we had both of those
the
stories.
ambassadors they've been.
Right.
And then you go in after that where they were getting all this pub as the 2 Americans. Then Ed goes and wins. Not only that, he's at the Olympics. He's coaching those guys. Then he goes and wins a national championship. Diljit does the same. They do it together. But not only that, Diljit now has a pro team.
Yeah.
That has Olympians. She's brought in Olympians from outside.
And
that
they're
have
training
no time.
here,
They're
right?
here every day. I see them. Yes.
Yeah.
And now Ed's starting to get some of those athletes. So it's kind of like what it's created alone. It's pretty darn cool. I mean, all of your things were amazing.
That's crazy
also,
how good a
I
year
would've
this
put
was,
Chase
right?
Roberts coming back. I got to put it in
Listen,
the top 10.
Yeah, that's true.
we're going to ask you for your top 5.
I know.
At the end of this.
Chase is big.
I was
Chase
so
was great.
happy for that kid.
And I think it's such a good move for him.
He is the best representative of the church, of this team, of what it means to be just an outstanding person, an outstanding young man. And so that should have been in the top 10.
All right, I'm glad.
All right, my bad.
That's what we want. We've been asking people to give us, and people started
They
to
can
question.
get after us.
And I have to say, coming into it, we're like, 2 national championships in cross country maybe should be in there. Now, here's the thing. If they go out and they win 2 national championships in track and field this spring, we have no choice but to put it number 1.
No
choice. Unless basketball wins a national championship.
We don't know what AJ's.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who really knows?
A year from now, BYU basketball might be undefeated.
It'd be crazy.
Shawn Olmstead's on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, distributed by the Deseret News on the stream. Mark, listening from the beach in Hawaii. Great show as always.
See?
That sets
That's
the tone
chill.
for us to talk about volleyball.
My mom and sister, my sister Heather, that's the women's head coach, they are in Hawaii right now, so keep an eye out.
Look out for the other Olmsteads on the beach.
So, is it Verna says, hey, do you have any players on the volleyball team from Italy? Great volleyball team.
Davide Gardini right now is one of the best players in the country in Italy. He graduated about 2 years ago. And Davide was just out here a few months ago. He's finished in the top 10 last year in their professional league. Gabby's out there playing in Italy. But Davide is Italian, but Gabby's out there in Italy. So we've had quite a few.
Has some ties to Italy. There you go.
January brings the return of men's volleyball to the Smith Fieldhouse. It's unlike any other place when that ball gets served up into the air. BYU TV will have all the home games. We look forward to that. So let me ask you this as we move into what you got going on. 16-9 last year. In what ways are you prepared differently than last year when you were here on the show and getting ready for another season? And you've had a lot of seasons. Do you do the same thing, or do you do things different?
No, I mean, I think each season is unique, right? Where you try to maximize the team that you have.
Yeah.
And so right now, I believe that most coaches like to think that we've got a decent feel for how our guys are, but we really don't know until the whistle blows in that moment in those competitions. And then we get to start to navigate kind of what we've got. Last year, our team was really, really, really good. Like we went into the MPSF tournament. That is the tournament before the Final Four. Our RPI, our ranking was 4. That was just as high. There was, I think, one other MPSF team above us. We were above the likes of Hawaii. We were above, I think, 2 or 3 other teams that went to the Final Four. So we started that tournament. Granted, we lost right off the bat. That killed us. A 5-set loss to USC at their place. But that was a team that we really were like, man, we loved the guys. Like, we loved this group. We knew we had some good players, but we just did not really know what we'd have. And those guys just developed a culture together that was, there's no doubt in my mind, they won matches based on the team that they were.
Yeah.
Like, really. And so this year, I think we're trying to, I believe that culture is still in our team.
So
and
it's
I think,
carried over.
Yeah, and so we've got more experience with the guys coming back. And we've added some really important pieces to our team.
When you talk about MPSF, the league that you guys play in volleyball, it's the only team that's not in the Big 12.
Yes.
But the MPSF, Mountain Pacific Sports Federation, it's the SEC for football. Like, maybe
100%.
it's better.
Yeah.
Like, is it not better than the SEC is in football?
Yeah, I will say here, let me take my BYU, like the coach hat off, that I will say that a few years ago, it was better. Now, remember, the Big West split off.
Right.
So I agree with you. You're right. And that was all because there was no denying that.
At that point,
way worse. It was just night in and night out. So now we lost a Long Beach State. We lost a Hawaii.
National level
We
programs.
lost an Irvine. But we're still playing with the UCLAs, who's
USC.
now won the national championship. USC, Pepperdine, Stanford, Grand Canyon was in a Final
People
Four.
don't know how good Grand Canyon is. It's a great
they were
program.
in the Final Four, and so yes, we're the SEC. I would agree.
Right.
Stronger. Yeah, we used to be, but it was a bummer to lose those teams. But
Yeah.
we're going to be able to get to play at Irvine, Hawaii, Santa Barbara.
Playing those teams in non-conference.
Yeah. So we'll get a chance to go up against them.
As we study your roster, 3 seniors stand out: Luke Benson, Mix Romanus, and Tion Taylor. Benson and Romanus, honorable mention All-Americans. Taylor was all MPSF. Tell us about these. Are these the big 3?
Yeah. They're going to be a big part of it, and those are guys that it's funny to look at him as a coach, because you just look back, and I've got a picture of Mix. We traveled him when he was a redshirt, and we went to the national championship. And we've got a team photo in front of the banner. Tom Homo's there, and Brian, and all those guys. And there's little Mix. He's a little skinny kid, and he was a redshirt. And so it's on my wall, and I joke with him every time. And he's big, strong kid that's going to go play pro when he's done. He's played internationally over the summer for his country. He's Latvian, and so he's got that passport, and so he goes over there and plays with them. And Luke Benson is just another kid that I remember watching, when the members of the church were down in Newberry Park telling me about this kid when he was a freshman in high school and sophomore, and I remember going to watch him at that age, and now here he is at the end of his career. It's kind of wild. And Tion's just been a huge piece of our team, of our culture.
Yeah.
That's a kid that nobody talked to. He went on his mission. I still ignored him for almost 2 years because he didn't even play club volleyball. Yeah. He wouldn't play on Sundays. He was a basketball player, played for Noah Hartsock in Vegas. But as soon as I finally sat down and looked at this film that his mom and family were begging me. I mean, we get a lot of those emails every day. Every coach down at BYU does.
Right.
And I kind of just, okay, no club volleyball, no nothing. The kid's coming to BYU already. He's already admitted. We'll get to that. And it was a connection that his mom called my former secretary, who used to work with his mom in Vegas, and just said, please, if you could do me one favor, and so here she comes, and bless her heart, she's like, Shawn, do you mind just doing this? I know, I hate to ask. And I'm like, yeah, I got to do it. I know I've got a lot of notes from him. Sure. I'll do it. oh, okay, whoa, this kid is an unbelievable athlete, but very, very raw at volleyball. And so he was coming to BYU anyways. We're like, hey, let's meet with him. Kid, look, T, we call him T. You come hang out, but this is going to be way above your head, way out of your league. And it was right off the bat. But you saw a kid that everyone wanted to be around. You saw a kid that was willing to do whatever. And really, when kids say that, I'll just say very few kids really know what that means.
Right.
Because you're not going to practice with us. You're not going to be able to get the reps you think you should get or you've used to getting in club and high school because we can't give you those reps. So kids don't know what that means. And this was a kid that did it, never asked questions, never, ever. And, before you know it, boom, man, this guy in practice every day, he's out playing our starters.
When you first had him in the gym, how long did it take for you to go, okay, he's raw, but whoa. Like if we develop this kid, he's a crazy athletic talent.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to go, okay, like if he keeps on this trajectory, like he's gonna be really good?
Yeah, it's probably like let's think about it. He came at the end of August, when school starts, and I remember the moment. It was in a warm up for a match, and I was with another coach, and we'd already started discussing things, but this coach made a comment, and he's like, who the heck is that kid? and Tion would get to dress out, right? He would never play, but he'd get to dress out. And so he'd be out there warming up and hitting balls and doing the warm up. And I was like, yeah, that's T, and it was kind of like in that moment. So it was like a combination of somebody from the outside going, whoa, because sometimes when you're around them every day, those moments, like they kind of just build up slowly, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so I remember that. And it was John Spera, the former USA national team coach and now the president of USA Volleyball. He was at UCLA and he was like, who is that kid? I've never seen this kid. Oh yeah, that's Tion. And it was kind of like, it was that moment. So 7-8 months.
Wow.
And so it was pretty quick, but we still never played him probably for about a year or more when he finally beat out a kid that'd been starting for us for a while.
So we're going to see a lot of T this season.
Yeah, T's awesome.
Yeah, and
T's unbelievable.
I love it. Man, dude can get off the floor.
And he can get up. And he can get up. Yep.
Yeah, it's fun. Is it Keone or Keone?
Keone.
Keone. Yeah. So Keone Film comes from Hawaii. He joined the roster from Hawaii.
Yeah.
What does he bring to this group?
No, he brings a lot of experience. I mean, he came from a team that won the national championship. He was there with them. He comes from a long line of volleyball. So his grandpa is the former assistant here at BYU, the former head coach at the University of Hawaii that actually won a national championship in 2000, I think it was after us, so maybe 5 or 6. And very, very good friends with Carl McGowan, one of Carl's best friends. That's who Carl went and coached with when he retired here. He went and would go spend the off season in Hawaii. That's Mike Wilton. This is his grandson. And so he and my dad were non-members playing volleyball at the former Church College of Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
Before it was BYU Hawaii.
Yeah.
And they were good. P.D. Velasco was an All-American. They were beating UCLA and other teams. And so Mike Wilton and my dad were teammates. And so Keone brings a lot of experience, really a baller, a volleyball guru, just in the gym, on the court, in the sand, wherever, and he brings a really good arm, a really good serve. And so just a really, really good volleyball player, like pretty high volleyball IQ, I'd say.
I interviewed him on BYU Sports Nation. He's got a great personality.
Did that go okay? Did that go well?
Yeah, and he fits the volleyball vibe, right?
Yeah, I was going to say. Was that when he had his mullet or he shaved it off?
I'm trying to remember.
It's a buzz cut now.
It's a buzz cut now?
But there was a moment he had a nice little honor code approved mullet.
Honor code approved.
When you talk about he has a great serve, and when I come, we always sit right on that baseline by Bruce Nilsson. Everybody,
I see you guys right there every time.
He heckles the other team but very creatively. Nothing offensive.
Totally.
Just like he just killed, and they always turn around and look. I'm like, dude, you're getting to him.
Yeah.
And he says hey, whatever you do not focus on that dude with the shaggy hairdo on the front row over there because you're going to hit it long.
Yep.
And and he'll just say stuff like that, and and it gets to him. Cracks me up. But being there, I get to see the serves coming from the other side right at me, And some folks serve, it's almost like a knuckleball where the ball's like doing this. I'm like, how in the world do you return that or pass that, right? Then others are hitting things with spin on it where it's coming, it's just diving down. You think it's going to be out, it's diving down into the floor. Do great servers, do they have a multitude of things that they can do, or does somebody get good at one thing and they just dominate with it?
Yeah, I mean, of course some do, but the great servers are like a great pitcher where I can get you with my fastball over and over and over, and then I can hit you with the changeup, or I can get the inside of the plate. They can do that. No, and in general, though, I will say that I guess we don't change it up as much as a baseball pitcher would. And so the guys, Keone's going to bring a fast serve. Yeah, you're gonna enjoy watching him serve now, because I'll be honest, it's faster than we've had the last few. We've had guys that could touch the same speed that he can get, but not guys that do it at the consistency that Keone does.
And to hit it that fast, does he have to have top spin on it so the ball dives?
Yeah, he's got he's going to jump up, and he's got top spin, and he's got a good control on the wrist and a good toss, so that it kind of accelerates that. And so our serving top to bottom this year, you'll notice, because you're there, right there on the, at the end line, you'll notice that, hey, this is different than last year, and I can say that. The guys have shown that they're doing that. That comes with experience and those things. And then you've got some guys that, you're right, like their specialty is the contact on that ball. And you just see that thing.
I can see the lace. I can see the seams on the ball, and the ball's coming at me. It's going like this. I'm like, I could not return that.
I did not. As a player, I didn't matter how hard you hit it. I didn't think twice about it. Those were the ones. There was one guy that anytime we played him, when I was playing, they literally hid me, and I'm a libero. I have
That's
to
what
be
you
able
do.
to pass. They would hide me because that serve frazzled me, and it was just this like, and I would get aced, and so I was like, oh, here he is, Shawn, and I'd go stand on the sideline, try to hide. We'd kind of hide me. So
yeah, that's fun stuff. BYU men's volleyball head coach Shawn Olmstead's on the Wise Guys live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and wiseguys.com. Shawn is 241 and 76 for his career with both the men's and women's programs. That makes him among the most successful coaches
Did you know
in the game today.
I kid you not. No, I would have not.
241.
He's coached BYU teams. It gets better. He's coached BYU teams to 7 Sweet 16s, 5 Final Fours, and 4 championship games. And your team today is number 6 in the new preseason poll.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Yeah, I think that's right where we want to be. And I just found that out, I kid you not, probably a half an hour before I pulled up here. So I didn't know it during practice. I don't keep track of
6
those
is
things.
good.
No, I think that's a wonderful place to be. And my guys are going to know that. The guys right now, I know what they're doing. They're joking right now in the locker room because we finished practice and then ate together. They're in the locker room going, hey, let's make bets on what Shawn's going to say tomorrow. Because they know me. And they know my
It doesn't matter what we're like.
No, it's just going to say, hey, this is a great place to be. We're right where, we can just do our thing, and that's what we're going to do.
Who would you consider to be your rival? Is it UCLA, USC, or is it still Hawaii, even though you haven't played them and they're coming here for the first time in a long time?
I think a couple of those, of course, UCLA, because UCLA, that goes back to Carl and Al Skates. And I can say it openly that they did not get along, and it was not good. And when Carl passed at his funeral, the last words from his son, Chris McGowan, at the end of his speech was forever I can't recall exactly, but it's pretty close to forever it's okay to hate UCLA. I mean, and that was it. And that was like, thank you guys for coming. We're out, but so that's always, we've played them multiple times in the national championship.
Beat them last
year.
Yeah. And we were the only team in conference up until the MPSF final that beat them last year. Grand Canyon ended up beating them in the championship. We beat them here at home. We took them to 5 the next night. And so it's always been good. And Hawaii, just, with COVID, we lost sight of scheduling and we worked on it, but it just couldn't come together. But we're back on. We're back on board this year. They're coming here, and we'll probably keep that. I hope, and I plan to keep that going every single year, back and forth.
You have them on a 2-game swing, January 31st and February 1st here. How important is it? Like you said, you want to keep it going.
100%.
Because that's just such a good.
Yeah.
Like we always say in basketball, they got to keep the San Diego State thing alive, right? Because that's a big out of conference rival. Is Hawaii the one that's most important to keep as an out of conference now?
Oh man. Yeah, very well could be. Now there's a couple schools that are like my good friends, and so an Irvine. Yeah. I always enjoy selfishly going back to Santa Barbara, where I'm from.
Yeah, nothing wrong with Santa Barbara.
But Hawaii, and let me tell you why, is because of the fan base there. That so many members of the church that love the game, so many alum that have come this way for the football program, for the volleyball program. That's a really, really important place to go, that I think that when they find out that we're coming, that's a big deal to them. And that means a lot to me. And so I always want to do that. I'm never going to be a coach. I never have, never will, that, well, we don't want to come back to you. Like, no, heck yeah, let's go. Let's play. Let's go every other year.
I'm envisioning that night where for Keone, full house. Yeah. And he's on the other side. Yeah. And what are you going to say to him to just keep his feet on the ground?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably I need to figure out something. But no, he's excited about that, of course, as anybody would be, right? And so we've talked about it a little, but he's really been actually really mature the times we've discussed it. That, hey, Shawn, at the end of the day, that those matches are not the end all be all for me. Our team's going to have still 3 months to play after that. And that's what matters. And I know, of course, who doesn't want to win? Don't get me wrong, but you're right. Like we gotta be in the right place for this group. And he's a big part of our team this year. So he needs to be there.
Yeah. You got USC coming in to the Fieldhouse this year in March. You're on the road at UCLA. You guys mentioned UCLA. Yep. You play them down there in April. As you look at the overall schedule, and now there's rankings are out, kind of have an idea. I mean, we don't know for sure. Yeah. But we have an idea of who's good and who's not. How do you feel about the overall layout of the schedule right now?
Yeah, here's what I told the guys as I put together the schedule, and I do it. I do it all. A lot of other sports, you've got assistants really involved, and some sports you've got admin doing it. Yeah. And so I'll probably always do it. I think my sister Heather does hers, and we're a different sport than the basket. There's not these big $1 million contracts, right? Buyout. But as I put together the schedule, I believed that we were going to have a good group, that I wanted to put them in a position to be challenged so that they'd be their best at when we need to be at the end of April. And so with that being said, I do remember a moment a few months ago where I went, oh man, dang. Like, Shawn, you might have really...
You think you overscheduled?
And I told my guys that. And whether, maybe they take that as a, chip on their shoulder, they're going to be put my picture up in the locker room, but we're starting at Ohio State.
Yeah. Next week.
Yeah, hear me out. This week, this
the 10th and 11th, right?
We fly out we're going this weekend.
Oh, that's right. The home opener is the 10th. Sorry,
home opener.
No, that's right. It is this weekend.
We're leaving on Thursday. And so we've got at Ohio State for 2. We've got at Ball State. They are really good. Yeah. And they're a team with a few All-Americans back. We've got Irvine. I voted Irvine number 2 in the country.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And so we're at Irvine. Then we've got Hawaii here. And then we've got on the road in our conference, UCLA. So, I looked at it and I was like, oh, man. All right. And so the guys, I told the guys, I was open with them. Guys, there's a part of me that feels like I did. And then pretty quickly I go, hey, why not? And I think we've got a good group that can handle it. We have more depth than we had last year. So that's good as you go into a schedule like this. And so I'm to be totally honest, I'm really, really excited about it because I think it's going to be what we need to do and should be doing. And a lot of people might look at it differently. But, that's just kind of how I'm looking at things.
Bill on the stream says, volleyball in the Smith Fieldhouse is hands down the best show in town. St. Where are we at? St. Thomas Aquinas is the opener January 10th and the 11th. So who
said that, Bill?
Yeah, Bill on the stream.
You need to come find me, and I'll give you one of these sweatshirts that we're gonna show off here pretty soon.
Nice job,
Ken
Bill.
Stevens says BYU ranked number 6 in the preseason poll. I love it, and I love volunteering at the volleyball games.
So you're amazing.
Describe the vibe when your team takes the floor in the Fieldhouse, and the folks will be there, the students will be back, the place will be bananas on January 10th. But what's the vibe you feel?
The funny thing is you guys have been to these events. Volleyball's always, we've had the vibe.
Yeah.
Like recently in basketball, it's become such an event. The opening, the dropping the curtains, all that. But it's weird because the volleyball's kind of just always been that, because you're right there.
Yeah.
And we've always had such a great group of just supporters. Our fan base has been so strong and always there. And so it's kind of funny because I go to these other events, and don't get me wrong, BYU, man, we've really just nailed it. Hit a home run out of the park in every event we host. Mm-hmm. And credit to all those people that do that. But it's kind of like we've been there, but we're so close. It's just like nowhere else. There's nowhere else. There's no other stadium that packs it like us. The only one is Hawaii. But even Hawaii, it's like, BYU, it just feels like you're right there on top of you, because Hawaii, you've got a big state basketball stadium. Smith Fieldhouse is here, and it's just like, right there.
Yeah. Everybody's on the end lines.
Yeah.
And the music, it's like the fans get it too. They understand what the vibe's supposed to be. They can be really intense time in the game and support the team. But now there's a timeout, and they got the music going, and everybody's dancing. It's just like a party.
Yep.
It's a 3-hour party or a 2-hour party. Hopefully it's a 2-hour party because you just sweep them, right?
We go.
Or a 3-hour party if it's a five sets, or 5 games. But it's just like the fans understand what's expected of them at BYU.
Yeah. No doubt.
And they play the part better than any place I've ever seen in volleyball. Is that
100%? And we, our tickets go on sale and they're gone. Yeah. And that's a credit. I can never, I take every opportunity I can to thank the supporters. They're the best, and take care of them, and whatever I could ever do, I can't tell you how many home games I've been at where my seats are right behind, my own personal seats are right behind our bench. And I'll know that my wife couldn't make it for some other reason. And I'll send my secretary, hey, see those people up there? Looks like there's a couple, hey, go run up and will you grab them and tell them they can come and sit right there? I do that almost every game. When I have extras, that's what I do.
That's
and
awesome.
Because the fans are just amazing, and so they know what's going on.
Well, and they love you too. Bill says, by the way, I'm a longtime season ticket holder for men's and women's volleyball. I'll find you at the home opener.
Let's go.
Bill, just don't go during a timeout. So it's got to be before.
Hey, remember we talked about chill, Shawn? Yeah, do that well before the game.
No, Bill,
or after the game, Bill. Not during
anytime.
a timeout, please.
There we go.
All right, before our fashion show.
Well, let me say one thing though.
Okay.
Because the fans need to do this. I'm going to tell you guys something that is one of the coolest things you're going to hear tonight.
Okay.
What's the guys you were talking about him on our team? Keba?
Oh, Keba.
I don't know if you guys know, but his brother is one of the best. Now let me say best volleyball players right now in the world.
We have heard this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's over in Europe, right?
Yeah. But you've got.
Do we have a chance to get him?
No, because he's done.
He's done.
I mean, he's older, and but it's his brother, and he's literally breaking records in the Italian league right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, anyways.
5 questions is presented by Strategy Square.
We want to do a fashion show
we can do it before.
I'm not in a rush unless the streamer, they want to kick us out of the house. They want to get us out.
Should we do the fashion show before 5 questions, or should we do it after?
Let's do the fashion show first.
Okay.
So
we're going to do 5 questions in a moment.
And by the way, so Heather, the only reason she ever comes on the show is because you make her.
By the way, she has an awesome time when she comes on.
But then she comes on and she realizes she doesn't hate us.
Yeah.
Right?
Here's what she says before. She said, hey, I'm going to send you a bunch of stuff. All right? Okay. Have we seen the stuff?
No, and I don't really care.
You know what you do? You bring the stuff.
I got you.
I have to say, so it was before a game, and I was walking behind the bench over to the seats. I have same seats for women's too that we sit with Bruce. And I saw her, so I got her, so I go, hey, Heather. She's like, hey, Lee. I was like, whoa.
She's got her game face on.
Okay, we're 30 minutes before the game. Note to self, don't bug Heather before a game. But then after the game, I saw her, and they won.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, Heather. She gave me a hug. Hey. I was like, whoa, Heather's intense.
Yes. Yep.
So,
All right, so roll out the latest and greatest.
I took a bunch of, this is old school BYU, but I tried to get it kind of this bright blue, and I can't remember what this is called, so it's embroidered,
And that is, nice. By the way, that is a logo that we had on the sweatshirts back when I played.
There you go.
So that's 80s.
Yeah. Now,
that's
can fans
80s.
buy that, or is this just the team?
No, I did all these.
Okay.
Sweet. And then we
put these custom done.
Yeah, we got.
And it says MVB, so men's volleyball on the corner.
Look at that.
Oh yeah.
That is sweet.
You folks listen on the podcast. Just envision some of this really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But on the stream here, we're seeing it firsthand. All right.
And then we put the state of Utah.
Nice.
Right there.
Oh yeah, and MVB men's volleyball right on the chest.
And the BYU logo. Then we've just got some hoodies.
And then you just come up with these? It's just in the middle of the night or what?
No. There's our graphic design people, but I was like, hey, I want to do this.
You want one with the Utah logo on it? I've never seen that.
And
this is like traditional.
This is traditional, yeah. Nothing special.
Yeah, it's cool.
This one, but this isn't anything special, but just whoever you guys do with it what you want.
This is awesome.
Our whole wardrobe just changed.
I took the men's volleyball there, the Utah
in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
cool. And then I got a different size in that.
Nice.
And then I've got a bunch of hats for you guys.
And this has the baby cougar on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The baby cougar, and these hats are sweet too.
That's awesome.
So thank you, Shawn. You always bring.
And whenever you guys need, if I don't have a size that, hey man, Shawn, I really like that. All you got to do is send me a text.
I love that.
And you got it. You can come by
my
office. I've got all these upstairs, and you guys can come by anytime.
That's awesome.
We're excited for the new season, and we love the success that your family has brought to BYU Volleyball, both with Heather and you. And
I love Heather, just not 30 minutes up till game time. I really do love her, but wow.
We got you.
So listen, here's what we're going to do now to roll out 5 questions presented by Strategy Square, delivering connection, clarity, and confidence in business and marketing strategies. Owned and operated by a BYU alum who's helping wise guys conquer the world. And you can reach Chantal at strategysquare.co. Another cougar making a difference in the world. So what we thought, we did our top 10 stories of the year. And we thought we'd hit you up for your top 5 stories on campus. If you don't want to pick favorites, you can just do 5 in no particular order.
Okay.
We were precise in the order of number 10 to number 1, but we thought the 5 on your mind here at the end of the year.
And we can write them down, and then we can decide if one should be higher than another.
Yeah.
Okay. Or you can decide.
So you got to put the national championship with Diljit and Ed. And what they've done, and I'm just throwing out a few things.
Yeah. So Ed and that. So it's cross country dual championships.
And because of the impact, I sincerely believe Chase Roberts, an ambassador for the church, for the team coming back. That's my guy. He's my boy. I've known that kid forever, and I love the kid to death. And I think he is the greatest human being. And I'll share something with you guys, and I'll try not to get emotional. But on Sunday, I walked out to my car, and Chase was outside getting in his car on not yesterday, but the Sunday before. So this is right before the bowl game. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I come out, and I've got a tree, so I could see Chase's truck, and I could see that my wife was talking to him. And I was like, Chase, I start kind of screaming. It's my person, happy. And it's like, what's up, dude? You're coming back. Finally, you listened to me, and your dad did. And Chase wasn't saying anything back. And I was like, Chase, I come around the tree. I'm like, dude, I'm so happy for you. I could just tell that something wasn't right.
Yeah.
And he and his dad, Kyle, who's a former football player, they were hurrying out to be able to see Chase's grandma before she passed. And that was a very, very big, important person in his life. And he knew that he literally, that young man had 3 hours to see her that Sunday and fly to California. And to be there for 3 hours to then catch a plane back to be at practice. So that was just the sun. And so my thoughts and prayers with the Roberts. But anyways, football's got to be on there, right? I mean, football's got to be on there.
Chase got banged up in that game too.
Yeah.
Not sure what though.
He hit on his shoulder. He had a sling on. He looked okay. I saw he landed. He landed on his elbow. So I'm not gonna. I was thinking maybe a little AC separation or something, and he'll be fine.
So football. When you say football, are you saying as a whole,
like the 11-2 season?
I just kind of have to say the whole. You guys were at the games. And I'll tell you what, there was just a vibe and an energy and an excitement that we all saw and felt. And so it's me kind of saying it as a whole.
Okay. Yeah.
There was
two more.
Yeah.
So national championship, Chase Roberts return, which is huge. Football 2024.
Yeah. The hiring of Kevin Young. Now, they've got to look at their team, right? Look at all the wonderful things. But if you think about it, I heard you guys kind of discussing how all that occurred. Remember that? Right. Remember, what the heck is going on? We're losing Mark Pope. Boom. Tom Homo, Brian Santiago, those guys had a plan immediately. It was executed to a T. Mm-hmm. And who would have thought at the moment that Kevin Young signed his name on that dotted line that all of a sudden we're on every sports page everywhere? I mean, I knew he was with the Suns. I knew he had a relationship. But did that not change things? I mean, that right there was massive.
Steve Cleveland was sitting right where you were, right where you are, a couple of days before, and he was running down the list of candidates, and he said at the last, and then there's this Kevin Young from the Suns, and we're just like, who? 100%. And then we went to research him, and I didn't know he was on the planet.
Steve knew all about him.
Yep.
And he actually said, why couldn't they get Kevin Young? And we all just, once we researched him, we're like, there's no way. He's going to have $7 million a year on the table for him with the Nets. Mm-hmm. There's no way he's coming here.
Yep. And bang, here he is.
And he was here.
Boom.
And he said, you guys, everybody doesn't understand my own priorities. I've got kids. I want them in an environment that's conducive for their growth and their, all of that. Like, there's things more important than money. There's plenty of money here. Why can't this be my dream?
Yeah, 100%.
And we're all like, wow.
Yeah.
So do you package everything that's gone on with him as one?
Yeah.
So we'll say Kevin Young in basketball.
I struggle with AJ. Like, don't get me wrong. It should, I get it, but like the kid, he hasn't come on campus yet, right? Yeah. So it's like, but I agree with everything you guys said. I don't want you guys to not hear it. So I think my Kevin Young is similar to the football, right?
Okay.
Like, you know, because when that hire occurred, and then again, it was the weeks and it was the days and weeks after that hire, where all of a sudden we're talking to these recruits that nothing against Coach Pope or anybody else.
That never looked its way.
They didn't. No. They didn't though. You know
what? It's interesting because Travis Hansen sat here a couple weeks ago, and we said, "What happened?" And he said, "Yeah, we were thinking too small." He goes, up until right now. So we brought a guy in from the outside who wasn't bound by any of the thought process, and we were thinking too small. You don't think too small. Like, you expect to put teams out there every single year that can compete for national championships. You expect to be able to get the top players in the country. That's the expectation because you built that on reputation.
Yeah.
He said, in basketball, I mean, this is no fault of anybody's. We just we're thinking we were bound too much and thinking too small.
Yeah,
which is interesting, right?
Something occurred. Something happened right off the bat, and you know, I know that people, you know, online and all over are going to say, "Hey, NIL and this and that," and you know, there's some of that that you can't deny that, right?
Right.
But there was something about him identifying those kids, the right kids, immediately. And I mean, what a benefit to have his brother right when he, you know, the position that he had when he got hired. Because it was like, you know, Kevin, I'm sure kept tabs on a few kids, but there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, that was a seamless transition. Like, boom, hey, bro, hit up this kid, this coach, this right now. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and for those when we've talked about it, but his brother is into analytics, recruiting, rating recruits, big recruiting. Like, he was plugged into all of that, right?
Yep.
All right, that's four. You got one more?
Man.
We could you got basketball and hiring football, Chase Roberts, national championship, Ed Dilgy.
We got the Olympians.
Well, I mean...
Are you tying that into the track?
Yeah, if we tie it in, if you're going to make me tie it in, I would tie it in because the pub that those young men have brought to our campus community is massive. So, I don't know. I'd throw that out there. I guess I didn't think that.
Yeah.
And Connor and Clayton would be really high on my list because... of what they did. When you guys were tuning in to the Olympic Games, to the build-up, the qualification before the Olympics, those two guys who are, the most wonderful guys. If you run into them, they will stop, take time with you, chat with anybody. And what they represented, the camaraderie they represented with each other, the way that they built each other in those races and supported each other.
Oh, yeah. And ran next to each other.
And ran next to each other and were equally as excited. And that all came back, that all came back to BYU. It all came back to where they came from. So I'm throwing them on there.
Yeah, I like that. I was looking at what other ones we had on here.
Those are good ones.
What else though do you have? I'm curious.
I'm telling you, when I think of track and field,
but what else do you guys have on?
We had Lauren Gustins. We had Lauren Gustins breaking the all-time rebounding record. And the fact that she even came back because she put herself in the portal. Everybody wanted her.
We had a couple things. She was
like Chase Roberts coming back.
Yeah.
We had a couple things not combined, like the Alamo Bowl and what they did Saturday night was its own thing.
That's true.
Whereas football was there, and
we tied it like we had Yegor Demmin and Cannon, but that's all part of basketball. You got all of that. Yeah, I think we covered most of it. When I think of the whole track thing, Kenneth Rooks.
Oh, and then Kenneth. No, let me go back to Kenneth.
Yeah, that was the craziest.
Chad Lewis and I. Hear this out.
Okay.
When did Kenneth come onto the scene? Was it?
It's when he fell.
Okay.
In the steeplechase.
In the steeplechase,
but that was the champion.
That was in the national championships.
The national championships.
Okay. So he falls. It's pub. I had
2 years ago.
Yeah, I had no idea who this young man was, and I see all those guys. They're in our weight room. We share the same weight room.
Yeah.
Chad Lewis and I are up on the top of Mount Timpanogos, like days later. And here comes this kid, and he's with who is his now wife, but he's got just a backpack on, and he's got a ball cap, and passes me. Let me think. Were Chad and I can't remember, but it was one or the other. We passed him twice, and I was like, "Hey, that's Kenneth Rooks," and he's just walking, and I kid you guys not, it's days after, and I'm like, Chad, and for whatever reason we passed him again, and I was like, "Hey, Kenny or Kenneth, what the heck are you doing up here?" Like we were it was Chad Lewis and I at the top of Tim, and just doing. I kid you not, it was days later, and just on a walk with my girlfriend. They may have been engaged at the time, but yeah, Kenneth. Gosh darn it, I forgot Kenneth.
And we clumped him in with track and field, but last year, when he fell in the national championships, and he gets up, and he's against the best in the country.
100%.
And he gets up and wins. Like, that was a huge story nationally.
Think of starting a race at that level, firing the gun, and you tell a guy, like, hey, hang out here for 10 seconds.
Hang back 20 yards.
All right, ready, go. At that level, you don't catch each other.
It was one of the most impressive individual performances I've ever seen.
Sorry, Kenneth.
And then,
he's a good guy.
He caps it off at the Olympic Games, where he's running last in the pack, the whole thing. Nobody's even talking about him.
Yep.
And the announcer, I love when he like slingshots himself up, and the announcer's like, "Who is this?"
Yep.
And then he gets up with a guy that's the world record holder, and he says, and the guy's saying, "Hey, Kenneth Rooks."
No, seriously.
Who are you?
Yep.
What's interesting?
Silver medalist.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
The cool thing about the student athletes that you deal with, if we were to say, all right, let's list the top 50 student athletes at BYU. And then once we got to like, say, 30, there'd be a debate over every spot because there are so many amazing stories. I don't know how you'd come up with one. I don't even know how you'd come up with 20 because every sport you start going, what about, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, bang, bang, bang. Just look at cross country, just the list keeps going.
Have those beautiful, wonderful stories. And BYU's done a great job of covering them, the deep blues.
Oh, yeah.
But there's so many out there. So
yeah, there's I love Canada. There's so many great, like, Jake Retzlaff, and you talk about publicity, him being a man of the Jewish faith to come in here and wear his faith on his sleeve.
Totally.
And like, that's been a national story.
Absolutely.
And so there's been so much good light shed on BYU this year.
Yeah.
That's what's
100%.
fun. Yeah, that's what's
now, you should know that our favorite player on your team remains Jared Brady, and will always be my right fielder from the Coley Little League.
He coached him. He was in my ward.
I just saw. Is that Brady? Is that his company?
That's his company.
Brady, what's Brady Plus? Though?
Brady Plus, they expanded to, they're all over North America. What's Brady Industries?
No, I remember that because I talked to him about that.
Plus all these other things.
Okay, so I didn't know that.
And so they're on board with us, and they're awesome for a million
Dave
reasons.
Coached him in Little League, and then when he came back from his mission, he was in I was in the Bishoprick up on campus, and he came into my ward, and so we're all tied to the Brady's, right?
He got married, all that stuff.
It was a great wedding. When he got that into the season. He was in the game and got a point, and we sent it all over social media. We're like, that's our guy.
That's it. There he is.
So give Jared our best when you see him.
Absolutely.
Good luck against the Buckeyes later this week.
Yep, we'll be watching.
And
thank you, guys.
You're welcome here anytime. We'll see you at your place.
I'll bring more goods.
Yep. And if there's anything that ever needs to be out there that you need to tell us about, just tell us. We'll get it on the show.
Yeah.
Get on the show.
You guys are awesome.
Great, Shawn Olmstead, ready to. Now you're officially ready to begin a new season.
Yep.
Thank you, Coach.
You're gonna have the wise guys good karma for
Thanks,
sure.
guys.
So, thanks, Shawn.
BYU at Ohio State later this week, and then of course January 10th and 11th. The home opener at the Smith Fieldhouse. If it's not sold out already, it probably will be. And if you're in the Rock, get there early, and it'll be quite the scene. That was great. We love having him on. That's why we say he's the coolest guest we get.
He is always
he's just so good. And he brings us stuff which we love.
And you know what I love is that Shawn can be he's just fun. And but he has a level of intensity when it comes game time that he knows how to walk. It's game time. It's Shawn lock-in time, and he forces those guys to lock in. But he is chill when he's not, and he's so fun, and he appreciates everything around him. He has tremendous gratitude, which I love about Shawn.
Thank you for watching The Wise Guy.
If you like what you're watching, you can help us out by subscribing and hitting that notification button.